Imagine you are standing on the deck of a ship in the middle of the ocean. The sky is pitch black. The waves are crashing in waves. All your possessions, all your hopes and dreams are sinking into the ocean. In the midst of the chaos, you are left with only yourself and one inevitable question: how to continue. This story is not just a figment of the imagination. More than 2,000 years ago, a man named Zeno of Citium experienced exactly that. And instead of letting despair consume him, he stepped ashore with a mission to find a way to live that nothing, not pain, loss, or tragedy could shake. This was the beginning of Stoicism, a timeless philosophy born from the wreckage of a life that still lights the way for millions around the world. In this article, we will go back in time to explore the origins of Stoicism, a philosophical legacy that has helped people face adversity for centuries. Over 2,000 years ago, in a small corner of the ancient Greek world, the peaceful seaside town of Citium, now Larnaca, Cyprus, became the birthplace of one of the greatest philosophies in history, Stoicism. This was not a simple or prosperous time. The historical context was dominated by political strife, wars, and social unrest, as Greece was on the brink of losing power to Rome. Zeno of Citium was a Hellenistic philosopher from Citium, Cyprus. He was the founder of the Stoic school of philosophy, which he taught in Athens from around 300 BC. Based on the ethical ideas of the Cynics, Stoicism placed great emphasis on goodness and the peace of mind that comes from living a virtuous life in harmony with nature. It proved very popular and flourished as one of the major schools of philosophy from the Hellenistic period through the Roman period, and was revived during the Renaissance as Neo-Stoicism and in modern times as Modern Stoicism. Zeno was born around 334 BC in the colony of Citium in Cyprus. Citium, a Phoenician colony, was not a major philosophical center like Athens. It was a port city where ships from all over the Mediterranean stopped by bringing goods, culture, and ideas. Zeno of Citium was born into a wealthy merchant family and grew up in the bustling atmosphere of a bustling trading port. But Zeno's life was not always smooth. A fateful voyage changed everything. When his ship was caught in a storm and all his cargo was swept away, he lost all his possessions. Instead of despair, however, the event led him to Athens, the intellectual and philosophical center of the ancient world. His ancestry is still disputed between the Phoenicians and the Greeks, since Citium had both Phoenician and Greek inhabitants. While some contemporary and modern historians consider Zeno to be a Phoenician, other modern scholars have disputed this and have argued that he was of Greek or Greco-Phoenician origin. But the only thing historians know for sure is that Zeno was a Greek name, had a higher level of education than Greek, and there is no evidence that he knew any language other than Greek. His father was Maces, while his mother and her name remain a mystery. Most of the details known about his life come from the biography and anecdotes preserved by Diogenes Laertius in his Lives and Opinions of Eminent Philosophers, written in the 3rd century AD, some of which are confirmed by the Suda, a 10th century Byzantine encyclopedia. Diogenes reports that Zeno's interest in philosophy began when he consulted the Pythia, the high priestess of the Temple of Apollo at Delphi, also known as the Oracle of Delphi, to find out what he should do to achieve the best life, and the god's response was that he should take on the skin of the dead. He then realized what this meant and studied the ancient authors. Zeno became a wealthy merchant. Diogenes describes Zeno as a dark-skinned, emaciated man who lived a simple life despite his wealth. This coincided with the influence of Cynicism and was at least partly carried over into his Stoic philosophy. Zeno began teaching in the agora of Athens called the Stoicopoikolo, which was built around 460 BC to the north of the agora. It is one of the most famous sites in ancient Athens, famous for the paintings and trophies displayed inside, and is associated with ancient Greek philosophy, especially Stoicism. His followers were originally called Zenonians, but eventually became known as Stoics, a name previously used to refer to the poets who gathered at the Stoicopoikil. The Stoicopoikil is located in the agora, Athens' busiest public square, where commercial, political, and cultural activities were concentrated. Stoes, or corridors, in ancient Greek architecture were long, covered structures designed for people to gather, discuss, and exchange ideas. The name poikil means painted in Greek and comes from the elaborate frescoes that adorned the walls of the corridors. These paintings depicted important historical events, including the Battle of Marathon, 490 BC, the great victory of the Greeks over the Persians. The Battle of Oeno, another testament to the bravery of the Greeks. Greek mythological and heroic scenes reminiscent of the ideals of courage and virtue. Stoic was not a closed place like other philosophical academies. It was an open space for everyone, from nobles, merchants to slaves, ordinary people who wanted to seek knowledge or engage in dialogue. This is why Zeno chose this place to teach his philosophy. Zeno chose Stoic to share his philosophy because he believed that philosophy should not be confined to lavish academies or reserved for the elite. Stoic philosophy, from its inception, was practical and aimed at all levels of society. By teaching here, Zeno not only spread his philosophy but also directly engaged with the real-life problems that people were facing, from poverty, suffering, to social unrest. The Poikil corridor was not only a place to learn philosophy but also a place to practice it. Discussions here revolve around issues such as how to control emotions, how to live virtuously, how to face suffering and adversity. The Stoic, with its historical and mythological paintings, is a reminder that humans must learn to live in harmony with the laws of nature and the universe, and overcome adversity like the heroes of Greek mythology. Among Zeno's admirers was King Antigonus II Gonatas of Macedonia, who would visit Zeno whenever he visited Athens. Among Zeno's other students were Aristo, Spherus, and Cleanthes, who succeeded Zeno as head of the Stoic school in Athens. It is said that Zeno refused the citizenship of Athens when it was offered to him, fearing that he would be considered disloyal to his hometown, where he was highly regarded and contributed to the restoration of the baths, after which his name was placed on a pillar there as Zeno the philosopher. Zeno of Citium, the founder of the Stoic school of philosophy, left a profound philosophical legacy with timeless ideas. Zeno's philosophy is not only a system of reasoning but also a way of life, helping people face adversity with calmness, reason, and virtue. Zeno's philosophy consists of 3 layers, closely linked together. Logic, rational thinking. Zeno emphasized the role of logic in distinguishing truth from error. Logic is a tool that helps people accurately evaluate events and eliminate false beliefs. He believed that negative emotions, fear, anger, anxiety, often arise from our mistaken assessments of the world. By understanding the nature of events, we can eliminate these emotions. In his treatment of logic, Zeno was influenced by Stilpo and other Megarians. Zeno urged the need to establish a basis for logic because the wise man must know how to avoid deception. Cicero accused Zeno of being inferior to his philosophical predecessors in his treatment of logic, and it seems true that a more precise treatment of the subject was given by his successors, including Chrysippus. Zeno divided true concepts into intelligible and incomprehensible concepts, allowing free will to agree in distinguishing between sensory impressions. Zeno said that there were 4 stages in the process leading to true knowledge, which he illustrated with the example of the flat hand, the outstretched hand, and the gradually clenched fist. B. Physics, understanding the universe. Zeno saw the universe as a living organism, operating according to natural and rational laws. In Zeno's view, the universe was a god in which every part belonged to the whole. He incorporated the physics of Heraclitus into the system. The universe contained an artisan's fire divine. This fire predicts everything and extends throughout the universe. This fire is the basis of all activity in the universe, acting on passive matter, which neither increases nor decreases. The main substance in the universe comes from fire, which passes through the air phase and then becomes water. The thicker part becomes earth, and the thinner part becomes air again, and then thins out into fire. Humans are an integral part of the universe, and only by understanding the laws of nature can we live in harmony with it. The nature of the universe is such that it does what is right and prevents what is wrong, and is determined by its unconditional destiny, while allowing it the free will that is assigned to it. According to Zeno's belief, true happiness can only be found by following the laws of nature and living in accordance with the course of fate. C. Ethics or morality, the art of living. The ultimate goal of Stoic philosophy is to live a virtuous life. Like the Cynics, Zeno recognized a single, simplest good, which is the only goal to strive for. Happiness is the good flow of life, and this can only be achieved through the use of right reason that coincides with the universal reason that governs everything. A bad feeling is a disorder of the mind, contrary to reason and against nature. This consistency of the soul, from which morally good actions arise, is virtue. The true good can only consist in virtue. Zeno's ethics focuses on guiding people to live well in any circumstances, by accepting what cannot be changed and training themselves to act rightly. Just as virtue can exist only within the scope of reason, so vice can exist only where reason refuses. Virtue is the exact opposite of vice. The two cannot exist in the same thing and cannot be increased or decreased. No moral action is more virtuous than another. Every action is either good or bad because impulses and desires are based on free consent, and therefore even passive mental or emotional states not guided by reason are immoral. Zeno distinguished 4 negative emotions: desire, fear, joy, and sadness, and he was probably responsible for distinguishing 3 corresponding positive emotions: will, prudence, and joy. There is no reasonable equivalent for pain. Every error must be eliminated, not simply dismissed and replaced with correct reasoning. Zeno's philosophy is not far-fetched theories but highly practical, helping people face the challenges of life. Some practical applications. Zeno taught that adversity comes not from the nature of the event but from how we react to it. By controlling our thoughts and focusing on what is within our reach, people can maintain their composure in any situation. Zeno encouraged people to let go of things beyond their control, accept the uncertainty of life, and find peace within their own minds. Zeno believed that people cannot live in isolation but must live in harmony with the community. Helping and treating others fairly is not only a moral duty but also a way to maintain social order. Stoic philosophy existed not only within the limits of ancient Greece, but also spread through the generations, deeply influencing Roman culture, the Renaissance, and the modern world. Stoic ideas about virtue, self-control, and acceptance of adversity have become a guiding principle for many leaders, philosophers, and those seeking peace in life. Seneca, writer and political advisor. Seneca, a Roman philosopher and politician, popularized Stoic philosophy through his philosophical works Letters to Lucilius and On the Shortness of Life. Practical philosophy. Seneca emphasized the importance of living a conscious life, focusing on the present, and letting go of the fear of death. He believed that life is short not because there is too little time, but because people waste time on meaningless things. Epictetus, from slave to philosopher. Epictetus is a living example of overcoming adversity through Stoic philosophy. Born a slave, he was free in mind before he was free in body. Famous works. His works, such as the Discourses and Enchiridion, emphasize that true freedom does not depend on external circumstances but on the ability to control one's own thoughts and actions. Marcus Aurelius, philosopher-emperor. Marcus Aurelius was one of the most prominent leaders to apply Stoic philosophy to politics. He ruled the Roman Empire during a time of crisis, facing wars and plagues, but remained calm and fair. Masterpiece. His Meditations, a collection of personal notes, is advice on how to live a life based on self-control, virtue, and acceptance of adversity. It is one of the most important works of Stoic philosophy, read and admired for centuries. Influence in the Middle Ages and Renaissance. During the Middle Ages, Stoic philosophy was overshadowed by the dominance of Christian thought, but Stoic ethical principles, such as self-control and virtue, remained a strong influence on Christian theology and philosophy. Saint Augustine. A fat. Some of Augustine's ideas about controlling emotions and finding inner peace were derived from Stoicism. Renaissance. Stoic philosophy was revived when the works of Seneca and Marcus Aurelius were translated and widely circulated. It became a source of inspiration for philosophers and artists, emphasizing perseverance and strong will. Influence in the modern era. Stoic philosophy has transcended time, becoming a part of modern thinking, especially in the fields of leadership, psychology, and personal development. Leadership and management. Many modern leaders are inspired by Marcus Aurelius and the Stoic philosophy to cope with stress and make wise decisions. The Daily Stoic, a project by Ryan Holiday, the popular Stoic book and blog, has brought this philosophy closer to entrepreneurs and leaders. Modern psychology. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. CBT, one of the most popular psychological approaches, is inspired by Stoic philosophy. It helps people change the way they perceive events to control their emotions and behaviors. Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to us that makes us suffer, but how we perceive it." This is also the core principle of CBT. Personal development and sports. Many athletes, from soccer champions to Olympians, use Stoic philosophy to train their minds. They learn to focus on what they can control, preparation, personal performance, and let go of what they can't, results, other people's judgment. Marcus Aurelius' famous quote, "If it is within your power, act. If not, don't worry, has become a principle of life for many people. Timeless influence. From ancient Athenian philosophers, Roman emperors and slaves to modern leaders and psychologists, Stoicism has proven to be more than just a system of thought. It is a way of life that transcends time and space. With its emphasis on virtue, self-control, and serenity, Stoicism continues to help people find meaning in life and the strength to face adversity, regardless of age or circumstance. Zeno died around 262 BC. At his funeral, an epitaph was written in his honor. And if your country was Phoenicia, why should you be despised? Cadmus did not come from there, who gave Greece books and the art of writing. This shows that although Zeno was not of Greek origin, the Greeks held him in high esteem, comparing him to the mythical Phoenician hero Cadmus, who brought the alphabet to the Greeks, as well as Zeno, who brought Stoicism to them, and was described as the noblest man of his time with a bronze statue erected in his honor. During his lifetime, Zeno was highly regarded for his philosophical teachings. Among other things, Zeno was honored with a golden crown, and a tomb was built to honor his moral influence on the youth of his time. The Zeno crater on the moon is named in his honor. From ancient Athens to the modern world, the Stoic philosophy of Zeno of Citium has stood the test of time, becoming a guiding light for souls seeking serenity and meaning amidst the turmoil of life. This philosophy reminds us that happiness does not depend on external things, but on how we face adversity, control our emotions, and live with virtue. Whether you are a leader, an ordinary worker, or simply someone looking for answers, Stoicism can be your compass to help you navigate through life. So what do you think? How can you apply Stoicism to your own journey? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to continue discovering timeless philosophies that help you live stronger every day. See you in the next video.